Hello everybody, my name is Katie and today's video is going to be a wrap-up of both January and February because I forgot to make one for January. So this video might be a little bit long, but no worries. Also sorry for the squeaking. I'm sitting and this stool is a little bit old. Anyway, I've read quite a bit in the last 2 months. I've read 23 books and majority of those have actually been not books. They've been manga for the most part. So I'm just gonna go through them. I actually didn't read that many books in January, but I've read a lot in February, so there are some NSFW like 18 plus manga in here, and I'm not gonna go over what they're about. I'm just going to state what they are, what I rated them as, and that they're 18 plus or whatever, and move on because I don't want to like spend a long time talking about those kinds of things. And out of all of these books, I actually only own about 7 of them. I don't own very many. I hope that made sense, and so let's get on with the books. I'm trying to go quickly because I don't want this to be a super long video, so. I'm just going in like the basic order that I read them in, so while I technically didn't read them in this order, I still read them in this order. But the very first book I read in January was A Man and His Cat Volume 2, and then I read Volume 1 a little bit later by Umi Sakurai. These are about, I've talked about these before, but these are about an older man whose wife has recently, or I think recently, passed away, and he gets a cat, names him Fukumaru, and it's just their cute adventures throughout the series. It's very, very sweet, super adorable. The art is super nice to look at, and generally speaking, it's probably one of my new favorite manga, period. The third one came out in February, but I haven't been able to find it, so that's sad. I gave both of these 5 stars. I really, really loved them. What can I say? They were adorable. The next book I read was Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I gave that book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it on audio through Libby. It is a super fun story. It's about a girl who is cursed to die on her 12th birthday, but instead of dying, she gets whisked away to a magical land where she has to learn how to use her powers and get into a certain school or something like that. It's really, really fun. It reminds me of Crestomancy series, but a little bit different at the same time. It's really fun. I really enjoyed it. I think most people that read it will. I enjoyed all of the characters. There's not any that I specifically dislike. I actually really, really love the main adult character, and I love the villain. I don't know if they're spoilers to tell you who they are or what their names are, so I'm not going to, but I really, really loved them. They're actually 2 of my favorite characters in the entire series. Morgan and the main adult character, and then the villain. I absolutely love them. The next book I read or listened to yet again was Blackbird, the 6th book in Fazbear Frights series. This one was by Scott Cawthon, Kelly Para, and Andrea Wagner, and I gave it 4 stars. Each of the stories was really, really good. I actually enjoyed all 3 of them. The second one was super, super sad, and it's the only one in the entire series that doesn't even have an animatronic, so that's interesting. Which tells me that it's either really, really important, or they were just putting it in there to mess with people like Matt Pat, who are theorists and stuff. Regardless, I really, really enjoyed this one. I honestly cannot wait for the next one, which comes out in March 2nd, I think. I'm so excited. Because it's an anthology, I'm not going to tell you what the actual stories are about, just because I feel like I can't do that without spoiling the entire story, so sorry. If you want spoilery things for books and stuff, I sometimes am spoilery in my vlogs, so just saying that now. So we're going back to manga. I read Manly Appetites Minagishi Loves Otsu Volume 1 by Mito, and I gave this 5 stars. I adored this. It was super funny, super cute. It's not super long. It's about this dude here. His name is Minagishi, and the chubbier one with the sandwich, his name is Otsu. He's kind of like a grouchy, chubby cat, and Minagishi has a huge crush on him. It is a BL, so if you don't like those, don't read it. But it's a shonen-ai, so it's not anything gross, anything weird happening in it. And it's basically him, Minagishi trying to get Otsu to like him, and it's very, very sweet, using food and other things to get get his attention. It's really cute. The art style is really, really fluffy and fun, and I'm not sure if the second volume is coming out this year, but if it does, I need to get it because I'm so excited for it, honestly. This one isn't actually a manga, but it is a graphic novel, and it is Over the Garden Wall Volume 1 by Jim Campbell. I think he's the one that wrote and drew it. He might just be the artist or he might just be the author. I couldn't find both. I couldn't find if it was both, so I'm sorry. I gave this one 4 stars, I believe. I enjoyed it. It was not as Over the Garden Wall-y as I was anticipating, and I kind of was sad about that. So yeah, but it was still cute and it was still fun. It followed Greg and his adventures in the unknown during his sleep. So it was not as like creepy or quirky or dark as the show is, and I'm wondering if it stays that way or if it gets darker as the series goes on. I haven't decided if I'm going to continue it or not. I still gave it 4 stars because I did really enjoy it, and there wasn't anything wrong with it, so there was nothing to like dock a star for. It wasn't perfect, so I didn't give it 5, but yeah, so. We finally get to an actual book, and it is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. I gave this 3 stars, and I was going to read the second book in February, but I ended up deciding that I'm just going to not continue this series. It's good, but I was not really attached to any of the characters, and the story itself was not super interesting. It had kind of an anime feel to it, just based on some of the things that they talked about and how some of the characters acted, but beyond that there wasn't really anything pulling me into the story, so I will be putting this series down. But it is about a girl who is a half fox spirit who gets a scroll and has to take it to a certain place, and along the way she actually meets a bunch of people, one of which is a demon slayer who actually is supposed to be somebody that kills her. Normally he doesn't, but yeah. And then they fight a bunch of demons and try to get the scroll to where it's supposed to go, while he's actually looking for the scroll, trying to take it for himself, and he doesn't know she has it. It's still fun. I think a lot of people would enjoy this. It just was not really for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it down, and I'm probably going to get rid of this along with a bunch of other books that I'm going to be getting rid of, which I will probably make a video about. An unhaul, that's what it's called. And now we're back to not even manga and not even graphic novels. This is a webcomic. I'm not sure if it's getting a release, like a volume release, but it is a webcomic. It's called Man Drowning in a Veil, and it is by Suto. And I'm pretty sure that I've talked about this before. I read the first 32 chapters, and I think that there are 36 currently in English. There is no official English translation, so you're just going to have to find one, but it is really sweet. I gave it 5 stars. It's also absolutely hilarious. It is about a man who was horribly bullied in junior high and high school for the things that he enjoyed, because he loves pink, he likes kind of girly things, he loves stuffed animals, stuff like that, and he was really bullied for it, so he drops all of that, including all of his friends, and the next time you see him he's 19, wearing all black, which is kind of scary because he's a bigger dude, and he meets a woman, and I can't remember her name right now, who starts to challenge all of those gender roles in front of him, and it's very good. It's really funny. I've heard that it stops being funny pretty quickly though, and it just starts getting really dramatic and sad, so that's why I kind of stopped reading where I was. I will be going back to it, but when I'm in the mood for something more dramatic. It is really cute though. Absolutely adorable. The main character is so sweet. He's so sad. He needs a hug. I love him. The art style is something you're gonna have to get used to, or at least I did, but it was pretty much worth it, and in the end it was really sweet and really good. I gave it 5 stars for the 32 chapters that I read. Amazing, honestly. Probably a new favorite. That's everything I read in January, so moving on to February, where I read a lot of books. I read 14 books in February, so, and a lot of them were manga. So I'm gonna try and get through them as quickly as I can, just because I don't want this video to be forever long. So the first one that I read is My Little Inferno Volumes 1 and 2 by Asada Nemui. I gave it 3 stars and it is an 18+ manga, so I'll be moving on. The next one I read was Stigma by Marlong. I gave that one 4 stars. Also, I wrote them down so I could remember what it is. I gave that one 4 stars because I really, really enjoyed it, but it is also 18+, so I will be moving on. After that, I read Megumi and Tsugumi Volume 2 by Mitsuru. I gave Mitsuru C. I gave that one 3 stars, as well as Volume 1 that I read last year. I also gave that one 3 stars. It's a 3-star series pretty much, but it's still fun to read. That one is also 18+, so we move on. And then the last 18+ thing that I read in February is Sharp and Rabbit by WBG, which I gave 4 stars. This one they are selling. It is a webtoon, but they are selling, or webtoon or a Tapas comic. One of the two. They are selling it in pre-order style, so at the end of each chapter I think that they're selling it. They're letting people pre-order and buy it. I unfortunately missed the pre-order, so I don't own it, but hopefully if they do another pre-order for the first chapter, I'll be able to get it. And the next chapter is starting, or season, I guess is what they're called. And this next season should be starting relatively soon, but I'm not entirely sure when exactly. Now on to stuff I actually can talk about. So I read Soul Eater Volume 1 by Atsushi Okubo, and this is a cult classic manga. It's about a girl and her weapon meister, or she's the meister and he's the weapon, and they're trying to become a death scythe for Death himself, the Grim Reaper. He runs a school and people learn how to fight demons, and not everybody's ambition is, or not every weapon's ambition is to become a death scythe, but a lot of them go after that title. And it's a pretty complicated series. There's 25 volumes in it, so it's not just one storyline. It kind of goes from a basic storyline into a very complex storyline. So I can't really tell you what the actual story of the manga is without spoiling things, because that doesn't get going until probably volume 4. But yes, it's really, really fun. The art style you have to get used to. The first, like, I'd say 3 or 4 volumes of the manga is not super well drawn. It's kind of an awkward style, but after that it gets absolutely fantastic. I love it so much. That same day, actually, I read Yu-Gi-Oh! Volume 1. This is the season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is the prequel to the main series, which is called Duelist, and I think the, like, end of the series is called Millennium World or something like that in English. I don't know why they split it into 3, but yeah. So this one is when Yuki gets his puzzle necklace, and instead of using card games to figure out what's going on, they just call him the Dark Yugi in this one. That he doesn't have a name yet. He plays games with people, but they're called something else. I think they're called shadow games or something like that. And in the process, if he wins and you lose, you get a penalty game, and it's you go insane, you die, things like that. Very creepy, but super, super entertaining and fun. And it's mostly bullies or people that have done something wrong. So it's not just random people, and it's not people that haven't done anything to deserve what they're getting. So it's really fun. I genuinely really like this, like, prequel series. I forgot how much I enjoyed these. The first book I read in February was Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. I have to remember, because it's like a long title. Also by Jessica Townsend. It's the second book in the Morgan Crow series. And I can't tell you what this one's about because it is a spoiler for the first book, but we get more of all the characters, and I really, really loved it. I gave it 4 stars because it was super entertaining and super fun. Easily jumping into one of my favorite spots, one of my favorites spots for series. And I have not yet gotten to read Hollowpox, and I'm super sad about it, but I'm still looking. I'm going to find it somewhere. I need to read it, but I want to listen to it on audio because that's how I read the other two, and it's not on Libby and it's not on Scribd. So the next book I read, and also the last book I read, was, oop, it's upside down, was The Haunting of Charles Dickens by Louis Busby. I gave this book 3 stars. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily good either. It was pretty boring. The concept is that this girl's brother goes missing, and they are friends with, they're family friends with Charles Dickens, and she and him start investigating to try and find the brother. There's nothing wrong with it. It was just really boring. It was like there was potential there for a super fascinating story, but it didn't take that opportunity and run with it. It just kind of sat there. So not a favorite. I will also probably be unhauling this one. I don't really have anything else to say about it. There's not a whole lot to say about this one. It was just boring. And the last 2 that I own are also manga, and they are My Senpai is Annoying, volumes 1 and 2 by Shiro Manta. This is a very like formulaic, kind of typical tsundere manga, tsundere himbo manga. You've got the himbo, which is the senpai, and you've got the tsundere, which is the tiny girl kahai. And it's really cute, it's really fun, it's funny. And I got these purely because I literally looked in it and this man made me laugh immediately, so I bought both. There's 4 currently out and I will be getting them, but yeah, no, there's not a whole lot to say about these either. They're funny, they're cute. The story is just about her having a crush on him while also finding him super aggravating and not really being able to stand him, and him having a weird fatherly but also kind of a crush on her, and I think he's just not aware that it's a crush and not just him in like seeing her as like a subordinate. I think that's kind of what it is. He's just not aware that that's how he's viewing her. It's really funny. I will say the second volume had a lot of fan service in it, and I really did not like that. So I gave this one 5 stars because it made me laugh and it was really funny, and I gave this one 4 stars. I'm thinking of taking it down to a 3.5 because the more I think about it, the more this fan service gets on my nerves because it's unnecessary. I'm trying not to let it bother me too much because I do really want to fully enjoy this series. I'm hoping that it doesn't continue. Fingers crossed. Now for the last 2 things that I read, which were manga that I don't own and were probably my favorite thing that I read in February, and they are Cutie and the Beast volume 1 and 2 by Yuhi Azumi. I gave both of these 5 stars. It is adorable. It's gonna be a little controversial because people are not gonna like how old the main character is. There is a pretty big age gap, so be aware of that. It's an 11-year age gap, but it is about the main character. Her name is Momoka, who has a huge crush on the pro wrestler Kuga, and she talks to him pretty much every time he says something on Twitter. She replies, and he'll usually respond, and that'll kind of be the end of it. But she has a huge crush on him. She's a huge fan, and he kind of has a crush on her as well through Twitter, not even being fully aware who she is or if she's even a girl. And it's really, really cute. They do meet and he gets her phone number and they talk, and it turns out she's actually in high school. So there's that. And then it's a story about them working through that, figuring out how to go around it without it being a super big deal, and also a lot of communication. Her family knows exactly what's going on, and a lot of being very responsible about the way that they do this. Kuga is super, super sweet. He's absolutely adorable. He's very responsible. He's doing everything he can to make sure that this is not like weird or bad in any way, and she is actually a pretty intelligent and emotionally intelligent teenager. She's either 17 or 18. The translation I read said 17 in one place and 18 in another, so I don't know how old she is exactly. Regardless, I think it's really, really sweet. She's very emotionally intelligent. She has thought through the issue. They both have addressed the issue and are working around it and dealing with it. It's not some sort of secretive thing going on, and I know a lot of people really hate age gaps like that, especially when the younger one is still a teenager. but it's really up to you. I can't judge her because I too would have a huge crush on Kuga at that age. I do now, and I'm 22, and he had a crush on her before he knew she was in high school, so it wasn't like he was being creepy, and that's something he was looking for. He had no idea she was in high school until she told him after he got her number and was talking to her for a little bit. So it's just really sweet. It's really, really cute. Easily my favorite thing that I read in February, and probably I will be buying them soon. Yeah. I will see you in my next video, which will be out on Wednesday and will be my March TBR. Until next time, have a good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on when you're watching this, and I will see you all later in my next video. Until then, happy reading. Bye.